Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Okay, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. There they are on your screen in studio today, Cacique and Dr. Maya Bowen, joining us virtually via the wonderful technology of the World Wide Web in studio. Cacique, up.
Good morning, Stan.
Good morning,
family.
Good morning.
Just texted my son, man. I left, one of my sons went to warm up my car and he kept the key. And I drove here without the key. And I was able to lock the car with my phone. But I don't have a way to turn the car on when I leave. So, yeah, that's what I was doing. But good morning, everyone. Blessings. I hope y'all having a great week, man. And Dr. Maya, it's wonderful to have you back.
Yeah, it's been an interesting first few days in terms of our spring 2023 semester, but things are rolling along pretty smoothly, taking one moment at a time. I'm excited about the semester. As a matter of fact, Roxbury Community College is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and so I'm part of multiple committees regarding the preparation of events, and so more to come, but I'm looking for nothing but great things to happen because the best is yet to come.
All right, how was your how have you been? You haven't been here in a while, or we haven't been here in a while.
Well, we only missed a week, but she's missed a couple weeks.
I thought so.
No. So last week we didn't convene, but the week prior to that, actually, I was here. It just seems
long.
Yeah.
It seems
No,
long.
I don't
It
think
seems
so.
long. It seems long. When you're around great people, you know that separation grows, and then you bond and miss each other. So it's all good.
It's all good. It's absolutely all good. All right. Well, I want to welcome you all out there joining us this morning. And, back that out a little bit. There we go. So what's on everybody's mind? Who we going to start off with? Let's start off with you, Dr. Bowen. What's on your mind this morning?
Woo! Something's always on my mind. I finally got to watch the Board of Education for Harvard's Board of Education meeting for January 17th, and during the time where the public could speak, students were coming up to the mic and making statements in regards to the quality of food being offered and the portions representing smaller portions, and that being the standard regarding K through 12. And one of the students mentioned that you can't reasonably expect a portion that's given to a kindergarten to satisfy someone that's a senior in high school.
What a great point, Dr. Maya.
Their appetites, they are what they need to take in terms of food as fuel is going to be different. And so, I just started thinking about that L word, leadership, right? Like, who did you not consider this macro but micro concept in terms of how it is that you would make sure that students were adequately fed in terms of their portion sizes? Makes me think. Another thing that was brought up related to the food is that some of it was not fresh, with some mold and stuff going. I'm like, mold? Who's doing this inspection?
That's very concerning.
Like old food.
Yes.
Where is this not being a point of check before it's being presented to these students that we value. um it's there's a gap somewhere that needs to be filled in. um
Sounds like industrial lunch.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's made off site and brought in, trucked in
Well,
and
as always, we have to give credit to our youth. Listen to the great point they made, Dr. Maya, when they say, the portions for a kindergarten can't be the same for the high school students or even for the middle school. So that's a great point. But then the other thing, the other great point that they bring forward is that there's mold in the food or in the containers or something, and we know that's not safe at all. So my issue with all of this is who approved that? What kind of
Leadership.
what kind of
well that
what kind of specifications did they go? Was it
What's the protocols? Yeah.
well that,
yeah,
that
well, the recommendations, were they made by doctors or by nutritionists, or is this a company trying to make money? Because people are always trying to make money. I think that's the
Yes.
point here too, that we
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
follow the money trail again.
well, I think I think there needs to be some over, because the airlines food is brought to them. They don't make the food on the airplane. They don't make the food in the airport. There's a whole food prep, but there's the quality control standards in the kitchen and the prepping process. So if there's mold in the food, I don't blame anybody at the board for that. I blame the delivery of the system. So
Yeah, but it's being but how is that getting to our children, Stan?
we know how it's getting there.
Well,
So-
but my point is this. I understand. I'm not. But if the problem is with the plant, then when the food is brought forward, before it's cooked and before it's presented to the students, is there an inspection?
Right, I think it's when they open.
Come on now.
When they open the container, the
Yeah.
student identifies the mold. The food isn't opened moldy and then served to the student.
Yeah.
The student gets receipt of it, then they open it, and then it's mold. So
No. That a lot of that food stand is just warmed up. A
Right.
lot of the food that the students get, but they warm when it's warmed up is open. It's not given to them in a container. I worked in the school system. I
does it
never
come in
seen
a
that.
tray? They're not served like spooned out onto the plate. It
They're
comes in a
served
tray.
No, a lot of that stuff is given in individual portions, brother. I mean, it's served.
Yeah, but they
Like
all
chicken
get the
and mashed
same.
potatoes.
They all get the same portion. Lou.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where
They
the
all
mold will
from
come from.
student to they all get the same. It's like comes in a
Yeah.
little present. You know what we're gonna do?
What's that?
We're gonna have somebody come here from the school and talk to us about the food delivery.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that, Stan.
Oh, that works.
but
That works.
the young person was saying, I watched that meeting. I was at that meeting. But adults also spoke about the size of the portions.
Portions, yeah.
And
They're,
that it
they're
was,
inappropriate or inadequate for the.
Yeah.
for the older
for,
kids.
for the age groups. Think about it, right? So if I get served serving size that the kindergartens get, like 2 chicken fingers, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be hungry. I'm not gonna be focused because I'm hungry. My hunger is gonna supersede
It's almost insulting
learning, right?
that it's almost like scraps off the table. I'm just concerned about how that decision came about, Dr. Maya. I'm concerned about who decided that it was okay to give high school students the same portions that were given to kindergartners.
It came from the top, Lou.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but we need some accountability here.
Absolutely.
And we have to
Absolutely. That
look
has to
into
be
all of
looked
these
at.
things.
There's a gap. There's a gap that needs to be filled in regards to this, because again, I mean, you can't reasonably expect great things to occur if it is that you've got students hungry beyond lunch, right? Let's be reasonable. Think about when it is that we as adults have our lunch breaks And if it is that we either brought something to school, or rather brought something to work, or we didn't bring something to work, and how big that portion was. If it is that it's not going to sustain us where we are able to focus in on our job, then there, our employer is not going to get the best out of us. Period. Right. So in light of our students, moving from class to class, or partaking in any type of activity throughout the day, specifically if we're talking beyond lunch, yeah, they're not going to be too eager to partake in activities. They might fall asleep. They might, no, it's just not going to be a good situation overall, because it is that they're hungry. They're not focusing, learning at that point. They're more focused in on, hopefully getting through the day so that they can get something to eat.
And that's also a medical issue, Dr. Maya.
Oh yeah.
That's also a medical issue. And I've spoken on the program before about treating anything that has to do with black and brown folk. We have to treat it as a medical issue. Because if we don't, then we'll treat it as a criminal issue, because that's what usually happens.
Well, you're gonna criminalize
well,
lunch?
you know what will happen? Them kids will start grabbing an extra lunch or something, and they may be criminalized then, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm telling you, I know these things, brother. So it's a medical issue because our children are being malnourished or undernourished.
Well, we could have a long debate on that one, because I'm not a big fan of schools more concerned about feeding kids and teaching them.
Yeah.
Well, it's like picking the worst of two evils, because they both bad.
Yeah, but
so where do you start?
When I went to school, I walked to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I walked home for lunch.
Stan, you live right next door to the
No,
school.
I didn't live next door to the school. I lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with the Henry H. Houston School. School was like 6 blocks away. Kindergarten. Walked down.
By yourself.
By myself. Mm-hmm. Came home. My mom and dad weren't home. We came home. I went next door. We went next door. Had tomato. I hate tomato soup to this day.
You gave us a deep insight into how you got to where you're at, Stan.
Philadelphia. Mount Airy. Had the Hill Gang steal my bike. I'll never forget that. My dad went up there and took the bike back. My point is that we walked home for school, for lunch. We didn't. There was not a single parent. This not in some wealthy, rich community of elitists. This was just the kids in the community. We all walked home for lunch. I remember having chocolate milk in the carton. We had half day, full day kindergarten. Had latchkey kids. Now your kids can't, if they, but not to say the kids shouldn't eat. Kids shouldn't come to school hungry. However, the areas where the kids are not getting fed right, that needs to change. If something's wrong with the lunch, now that folk have been identified, they need to tighten that. They need to tighten that up. But we do have almost 20,000 kids in the school, and I'm going to make it sound like all the kids are starving to death and having medical issues, and that's all I'm saying.
Well, we just want to make sure that our children are receiving what they're supposed to receive, Stan. And the reason I make it like that is because we need attention brought to this. If our children are not receiving the right amount of nutrition, if the food that they're getting is not safe because it's moldy, is cold, is old, or whatever the issue may be, the students spoke up. They made some great points, and I support them.
Absolutely.
And I think that we should, as a community, which I talk about all the time, we should stand behind them and force these people to reevaluate their position on the lunches, and maybe take some feedback from the students and the parents.
Well, the students spoke boldly at the Board of Education meeting last ed meeting.
Beautiful. It was beautiful.
They spoke up.
It was very beautiful. The point that is also raised is that the student representation as a member of the board, that once upon a time was a part of how it is that we embraced our youth by having a representative as part of the board in I guess, a student capacity, for lack of better terminology of how their role will be classified, so that that could be a perspective that is brought in because they live it on a day-to-day basis by attending the actual Harvard public school system. And so without that voice or without that person sitting at the table as a student representative, there's a lot of things that we don't know about per se, regarding things that need to be approved upon within the actual system. And so I'm hoping that the board would consider making that a part of their goal in terms of having a student or two sit at the table to learn about the process of being a part of a governing body.
Yeah, they had student
they did have that
representatives.
before. Yeah.
I think
Once upon a time.
No, right before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Dr. Meyer,
pandemic
yeah.
knocked that out.
Well,
yeah.
the thing that's most glaring to me about this, and I don't want us to like pass it without talking about it, is that once again, and I repeat, our children have shown extraordinary leadership.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary leadership. And that's why I say we have to support that before the politicians and the bureaucrats get a hold of them. Let's make them part of our community. Let's support them. Because if they get a hold of them, there'll just be another bureaucrat sitting somewhere making money, watching, the days go by.
I think one thing that needs to happen, not just at schools, but everywhere and across the board, is things need to become more life affirming. Life affirming and people centric. Right
Yes.
now, everything is budget centric.
So you're saying that now you think that the kids should get lunch?
No.
A little while ago, you was kind of, I don't know.
No.
I'm just
I
teasing you,
didn't
Stan. I'm
say
just
the
teasing
kids
you, man.
shouldn't get lunch.
I know. I'm just teasing you, man.
I'm saying that.
Uh-oh.
No. I'm good.
I thought you was going to fire on me.
No. Is it that obvious? The focus to talking me. They like talking me off. I have what remember Angela. Okay, Stan. We just having a conversation. All right. It's not a debate or an argument. It's just a conversation.
Absolutely, man.
No. I was thinking, if things were people centric, there wouldn't be this. Everything is so money focused that they're down to saving half pennies.
Yeah.
If they can save a half penny by farming out the food, why isn't the food cooked at the school? Particularly schools that if you have a school, if the building supports enough human beings to be open,
Yes.
then there has to be at least between 150, 300 people in the building.
Easily.
All right. Now, if that was most corporations, they'd have a cafeteria in there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
They'd be cooking the food. They wouldn't be trucking it in tin foil little things, and everything is done to maximize profit, not efficiency, profit. So a company can come in, present a way that they can, in theory, save you money by making food a particular way. They catalog ketchup as a vegetable.
Right.
And that way you can put that in a packet and squeeze it out.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense. It should be people centric. That means you could hire folks from the community that love the children enough to make a quality meal. The teachers would be better served. The kids would be better served. You can see that the 7-year-old doesn't need as much mashed potatoes and nice meat as the track star.
And Stan, and just to continue right along the line that you're talking, brother. I've had dozens and dozens of men and women in Hartford say, my mother worked in the cafeteria, my grandma worked in the cafeteria, my auntie, and the effect and the positive impact that those folk have on that child and many of the children I mean, I have to give a huge shout out to Sister Kim Bridges. She is an outstanding leader in our community that deserves a lot more recognition and a lot more respect for the work that she has done. And I say that because I seen Miss Kim, like she's called, come into a cafeteria that has been completely unruly. Principals and staff can't do nothing about it. And she comes in and she sets order.
Absolutely. Her presence sets order.
Her presence and her words set order. And then the cafeteria is when the staff is taught how to respectfully engage in a healthy and in a positive manner with students, then that Ms. Kim hands the cafeteria back to the staff.
Now, you bring up another good point with that. Why is there individuals being paid in the cafeteria that either do not command the respect, not by being bullies and mean, but just simply command the respect of the student body? Why are there teachers and staff that have the inability to do that? Because in my book, they shouldn't be employed. I mean,
Stan, that's a good question. That's a good question.
They lack the skill set necessary to be in there.
I noticed that in a lot of these bureaucratic systems, for example, the Board of Ed, you can have a principal who has complaints against him from staff or parents or whatever, and he's removed from that position, but then he's brought downtown and he's made the area director for middle schools.
Well, that sounds like some
Right, but that happens a lot.
Promote you out of the area of trouble.
Right, and it's almost like what the Catholic Church did with the priests.
Absolutely.
And we have the same kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So we have to. It's just something that I'm throwing out there for food for thought, for feedback from our listeners and viewers, man.
It seems to go on in all departments, right? The police department.
Yes.
They reposition individuals as well. So I mean, if you've got an infraction, right, and you're able to resign and then pick up just where you started off in a whole nother district, then you become the woes of that new community. What are we doing? Are we actually promoting the
worst of the worst?
The worst of the worst.
Usually that's what happens.
To become offenders of the peace. They're supposed to be
defenders of the peace as offenders of the peace.
But they are offenders
of
the
peace.
Right.
That's where I'm going with it.
All right.
Right?
I get that.
Hold those thoughts. They can stay. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Morning Talk.
Independent thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life. And the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind.
Hi, so my name is Nelky Maldonado.
My name is Ramon L. Arroyo.
And we know that Hartford Parent University provides good services and resources to parents in our communities, which are greatly needed because a lot of times our parents, they don't know where to go, how to get information, and being part of this program is essential to them in being successful in their children's education.
And I think that parents should get involved in their kids' education because it's very important. Education is, I always believe, is a success in life. If you got a good education, you can be very successful.
So we encourage our parents to please come join the program, ask lots of questions, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, welcome back. Morning Talk. I'm your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. In studio, we have Kasiki and we have Dr. Maya Bowen. Champions.
Yes. I want to swerve back into something that was very poignant that was brought up at the January 17th board meeting as well. So board member Brody approached the situation of asking a question in regards to the documentation rather that supported the one of the contracts that was brought before them for renewal, where the board members had not been presented with the details in regards to whether there were successes made by that company in regards to serving the students. And so with that question being raised, it seemed to ruffle the feathers of individuals present.
We need some names.
Name some names?
Yes.
Oh, it already it disrupted the superintendent's flow and demeanor. From the perspective that, here's the thing. Imagine this, right? Lou, you go up to your job and nobody's supervising you per se in terms of when it is that you get a raise or a recommendation for a raise, right? So there's no details to support you actually getting a raise. And so likewise, when it is that organizations come up for contract renewal, if it is that there's no presentation of details in regards to whether or not there were any successes, failures, or anything in between, and the vote goes out where the majority of the board members approve this.
Rubber stamp. Rubber stamp is the term that I would use, Dr.
Right,
Maya.
But that's problematic. That's problematic. We don't even know what you did during the first contract, but we're going to approve you for another contract.
We don't even know if you did the first contract.
That too. So in terms of the transparency there, it's holistically lacking. That is nonsensical, right? And so again, with her asking the question, I saw that as a most valid question, because why would you want me to vote in the positive, and I don't even know what they accomplished or whether or not they did what they said they were going to do the first time around. So
real
that
quick,
has to be cleared up. That definitely has to be cleared up going forward.
Real quick, Dr. Maya, for all the listeners and viewers, what Dr. Maya just described, one of the Board of Education members being asked to vote on something without knowing what they're voting for, next time you go to the voting polls, remember that's exactly what you're doing. Whether you're voting Democrat or Republican, you really don't know what you're voting for.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's deep. Because how many constituents are doing the exact same thing?
They don't know what they're voting for. They don't know the person that they're voting for platform, their agenda. They don't know if they lived here. They don't know anything about them. They just, most people vote because, for example, you and I are friends, Stan, and you may have a little bit of an inkling of, you vote. Let's say you just vote, but you don't really know. And I'm your friend. So now you're telling me, Stan, what are you doing? I'm going to vote. Well, are you registered? Yeah, well, come on, let's go vote. Who you voting for? I'm voting for so-and-so. All right, I'm voting for him too, and that's it.
That's because I'm gonna vote for him. Because he's tall.
Yeah, no, that's my boy's friend. Yeah, my mother used to know his grandmother when they was kids, so she asked me to go and give him, something like that.
Oh, that sounds like a good person.
But we have to do better than that, though.
Absolutely.
I keep talking about the age of the Great Awakening and how black and brown people, we must move in intelligence with every step that we take. And we have to stop that voting for somebody because they black. No, let's vote for someone that's going to help us, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we got to do better.
So they're asking Dr. Shonda Brody, right?
Shantae.
No,
Shantae Brody.
Shantae Brody.
I'm sorry. They're asking Shantae to vote for something. And so I was just listening to Malcolm X yesterday, and he said the same thing that's happening today, right? The police beat us with their batons, and then they claimed that we're resisting arrest. So now they're mad at that. So now they're feeling some type of way about Shantae because she wants accountability.
Isn't that something?
Well, she's a representative of the people.
I would hope so.
And as such, that technically is the job of any board member.
Absolutely.
Any city councilor, any board of directors members of a nonprofit or a profit corporation. There's the legislative policy making body who has oversight. And sometimes the executives get all pinched up because, someone asks them a question. Well, that's the job.
Right.
Stan, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because we have the political season is upon us now, right?
Yep.
And there's a question I haven't heard in Hartford yet from all of our candidates for whatever office they're running. I haven't heard. I'm going to ask her right now. I haven't heard one of us say, what's your stand on reparations?
Well, that's a good question to ask.
Yes. And we have to ask that. We have to ask that.
I think that's a fair question. Actually, it could be a good trick question because the reparations
issue
advocates
or question, yeah.
The advocates that I've talked to, we have one that we very close to the alliance. This is a federal issue.
Yes.
And only the federal government has the capacity to actually, they're the ones who owe. But it would be interesting to hear.
Hold on, brother.
Can it be global? Because
global.
I like that better.
It could be global, but it most certainly isn't. It isn't a municipal issue.
Okay, but I like that. I like the global better, Dr. Maya. But here's the thing: there are cities right now in the United States that are currently paying reparations.
They're experimenting.
I want us to experiment, and I want to be on that list. But I want to put this on the air right now. You heard it here first. Cacique wants reparations for his people on the island country of Borinquen from Spain and from the United States because we're still a colony. Well, you heard it here first.
I think it's a great question.
You heard it here
I think
first.
it's a great question, and they should have an answer, and the answer should match up with those areas of,
The statements they make about being community.
well,
What do you think, Stan?
It's very,
huh?
it's very
Boy,
valid.
I can't wait, Stan. This is gonna be our best.
This is going to be good. So check this out, though. Like, let's swerve it just a little bit. We celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday recently, and I was made aware of a book that he actually started just before he was actually assassinated, and it's called "Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community?" So I purchased it on Audible, and I've gone through it 2 times. I'm planning on going through it a couple more times, because what he identified is the circumstances back in 1967 and prior to 1967 in regards to where do we go from here, right? And so just to bring it into 2023, based on what he laid out in terms of his book, contents and context, we're seeing this in 2023 where major issues that were happening in the 60s have still not been addressed all these years later. And so there's a reason behind that. And so again, when I talk about there being gaps, those gaps have to be filled in. And a lot of the responsibility comes along with us looking at politics and economics. I'm just going to throw that out there, because look at how it is that when you put those two contexts into any scenario, it's all about who holds the power to really and truly be more dominant in respective environments, and it plays out daily. So where do we go from here? Chaos or community? That should be on everybody's book list.
So check this out, Dr. Maya.
It can be Audible and other platforms.
That's a very interesting point that you make. However, I want to add a little something to the conversation. I think that the reason that we're still seeing the stuff that we were seeing in the 60s was never addressed.
mm-hmm.
The civil rights movement masked it. It never addressed it. It masked it. And it gave white people, actually, it gave them a shield, not us. You know what I'm saying? Because the only civil rights that we have in this country are what white people say are our civil rights. So it was a ruse. And that's why it's resurfacing, and we're seeing it like really strong now with all these hate groups. They're out in mass or on TV. They have their own TV shows. They do all kinds of stuff. So the civil rights movement may have started out as a good thing, but then it was hijacked when they realized that they can use that as another way to keep us in our place, like they say. And this is why we're at it today. But now, in this day and age, it's going to be addressed way more effectively than it was ever done, because everything is coming to light now.
Well, you know, you made another good point. I think that right now, if we keep it local in Hartford, the constituents have an opportunity to speak up.
Yes.
You know, all politics is local.
Yes.
Chaos or community, it depends on what the voters say.
And we need to ask that question of our constituents, Stan.
Well, it is.
Do they support reparations for our city?
Right.
Let's begin the conversation.
But the constituents need to we need good constituency. Just like we need better graded candidate, we need a better graded constituent. I say that respectfully. But think about this. Your comment about hijacking the cause. If the cause is better lunch, and we ask the people who supply the lunch, can you do better? And they say, well, let us look at it, and we think that we have a better lunch for you. They're still giving us what they want, not what we want. We know what we want.
And we're doing the same thing that I talk about all the time, brother. We're looking to the answers from our problems from the people who created them.
There we go. Stick and stay. We'll take another break. We'll be right back. Morning Talk.
Made by a politician. Every bad political decision is made by a politician elected to office. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, just remember this. There are people sitting with politicians in a back room making deals about your future, making policies about your children, making decisions about your neighborhood. To them, you are just a vote. You are not their charity. You are not their cause. You are just a vote. Elections have consequences, and if you don't vote, you are actually voting to keep these people in power to work against you. Now, more than ever, you need to make your vote count. Declare your independence from the plantation of party politics and free your political mind.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yes, welcome back. Morning Talk. We're here with the champions of talk, Dr. Maya Bowen.
Yes. So you may not know this. I did mention this off air, but I recently earned a certificate in a 2-week boot camp for AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. And it is one of the things that is our current situation where it is that we're dealing with technology. So it was all about artificial intelligence, neural networks, machine learning, coding using Python, all kinds of dynamics going on. And I bring this up because we are in an age where it is that as we advance in technology, there's going to be a need for individuals to have an understanding of how to code, which is basically providing instructions for the technology to do specific tasks. And so with that being said, we had a discussion related to what's going on in respective school systems in general in regards to preparing our students to dive into a career revolving around computer science. And they're not a lot of areas in terms of school systems, our students are not being prepared to take on this task, which is going to be the bulk of the jobs. As a matter of fact, there's like 40 to probably 80,000 jobs currently available in computer science that are being outsourced to other countries, and they are overwhelmingly making sure that their youth are prepared to dive into these industries to be, the lead decision makers, and how it is that our technology is coded and designed and constructed and repaired and all this good stuff. And there's a lot of lucrative jobs out there at the 6-figure level that if it is that we're not preparing our students to transition into, then they're going to be at a major deficit once it is that they graduate from high school. And you don't even need a college degree. There's a lot of opportunity out here, and unfortunately it's not being tapped into. So we have to make this more of a priority within our school systems. And not only that, it's fun, right? Think about the video games that kids play. Think about the apps that we have on our phones and the apps that we download for our young kids 2 and up on the phone, on their little tablets. They are engaged with the technology, and why not let them know what's going on behind the scenes so that they can then transition into making it a possible career option. And so, as an IST, which stands for Information Systems Technology instructor, I show my students who are adults the variety and range that comprises computer science, and I'm loving it. And I'm hoping that my enthusiasm for the discipline is being embraced by those that see it as a huge opportunity for them to make a lucrative career in the industry.
Dr. Maya, what a great introduction for AI. Thank you so much. I would add to that we must, well, first of all, I just want to say that AI is still in its very racist stages. And what I mean by that is we look at the facial recognition and all the problems that they have with that. Some of the video games where they only made the black and brown people the criminals and things like that. We've had that type of thing. I agree, AI is wonderful. However, we must temper it with understanding that our children must be able to participate in outside activities. Because what AI and other computer-related gaming and things like that, what is done is completely taking our children from the outside to the inside. And I like AI. I like, I play chess on my phone. I do word games, but I also go out hiking and I do things like that. We must teach them that it has to be, it has to be tempered with a little bit of both.
I agree. There's got to be a balance. The thing about the technology, we have succumbed to a state of laziness, right?
Yes.
So we
Thank you.
find ourselves being less active. One of the things that I find myself having to monitor is how much computer time that I myself spend, sitting down. I know that our bodies are made to move, and we have to really and truly try to find that balance for ourselves and to model that for our youth, so that they don't get just accustomed to just sitting around and just being online and not really being productive or positive with the types of things that they are contributing within our social media spheres and beyond. So yeah, everything with balance. I mean, if you sit too long, your body will start ringing off some bells and whistles that you need to start moving. But in regards to our youth, we definitely need to model how to be engaged in more physical activity, even if it's just taking a walk around the block, get some fresh air. It's a definite balance that has to be implemented within our daily lives, with the incorporation of us having the technology that we have. And I agree with you in regards to the good and evil of AI. In respects to that, we have to look at also having individuals to not holistically rely upon AI as being the quote unquote truth in terms of providing us with information of possible, let's say, for example, criminal activity being doled out by individuals that look a certain way, right? And so there's got to be that human aspect that we apply to making more concrete decisions. And we can't just rely upon AI to be the end all be all in terms of decision making and potentially criminalizing individuals that have done nothing wrong.
The other thing that I would add to that, and it goes right along with making sure that we kind of keep a human perspective on it, is that the replacement of human workers with AI is also a problem for me. When we go to the grocery stores and you have the self-checkout, those are human beings that are being replaced. Those are families that could be displaced. People are being because when you're a cashier and the machine replaces you, you don't become a stockroom worker now. They just release you. You know what I'm saying? So along with that, what you're talking about, that type of human sensitivity must be used when we apply AI in our daily lives, in our workspaces. We have to make sure that it enhances what we do and not replace us.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring it back full circle. Stan's brought up the fact that we have to be more human-centered than budget-centered, right? So when we talk about big business replacing humans in terms of what gets done within the business sphere, we actually have to consider the fact that when we remove the human element from an environment, it being the AI cannot substitute for the acknowledgement of emotions per se, and the engagement of different types of decisions that only us as human beings can actually do. And so we have to be very wary about how it is that the shift from human centeredness to AI is being something that a lot of businesses are promoting. But again, only us humans can actually determine whether or not it is. If we're driving a car, for example, let's use the car example, for example, right? The self-driving car. Now, I don't know about you, but I would not want to have an Uber come pick me up and there's no driver in it. I'm not trusting that.
At least right now.
It's the wave of the future, sister.
Oh, yeah.
But let me add one more thing about AI. It's also in its most dangerous stages right now because it's all experimental. So if AI was given the task, for example, if we made a robot right now, an AI robot that would arrest people or whatever, it wouldn't be able to differentiate between a human and a machine. And it would, if the job of an AI machine was to eradicate whatever was in its way and humans were in the way, it would readily kill them. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done with AI before we can really roll it out in the community like that.
Well, AI sounds as dangerous as people.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because right now there's people that act that way.
Well,
You would seem to me
but
that
not
there's
quite,
you got
but not yet,
you have police officers that can't differentiate between a kid running
those
across a baseball field.
I don't agree with that. Those are conscious
or a
choices.
cell phone
Right, so-
versus an
AI is making a machine, so we can go with AI. You know what I'm
So
saying?
the AI might be safer.
Yes.
Because all you have to do is not
In some sense.
In some sense. Well, if you have human beings who are unscrupulous, do a worldwide experiment on a human genome, you talk about the Tuskegee experiment. This
Bro,
last
there might be
thing,
not many left.
This last thing with this vaccine. Let me stop.
Hey, we might go from 8 billion to about 800 worldwide.
In short order.
If AI was going to get rid of all the unscrupulous people.
Stick it, stay. We'll be right back. It's Morning Talk.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, welcome back. Talking about intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
And like
yeah.
central intelligence, military intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
listen, that's a subject. EI, yes. Okay, let's see if we can, intertwine that. Now, just piggybacking off of just before what we were talking about break, some of the things that strike me as interesting is being aware of our surroundings, right? Because if it is that we're distracted, let's say, for example, we send our kids to the bus stop, but they're on their phones or tablets.
Mm-hmm.
How quick does it take for someone who is going to abduct or looking to abduct someone to do that if that person is distracted, or if that kid is distracted, or an adult, right? So again, I just bring forth the point that my father typically will be of the mind to remind me to be aware of my surroundings when it is that I exit my house, from the perspective that he knows, as with many, that there are dangers inherent to being in the outdoors, where it is that human beings are on the prowl for victims. And so the technology that we have can have us in a state of distractedness, whereby we can get got. And so looking at it from the perspective of making sure that our youth as well as ourselves are aware of our surroundings is very important.
Well,
because
yeah.
it's that if we're distracted, we are going to get got. And so a lot of what's played out in history, prior to us having a lot of this technology to the present, has found us where we're in a place that we're looking at things that have been unaddressed, as Lou stated, even up to 2023, because it has not been addressed and corrected. And so with that being said, critical thinking, being on alert, making sure that we engage in healthy activities, by moving our bodies. that is an all-encompassing balance that we have to be mindful of as we take this journey from day to day.
You have to be alert and aware of your security is no accident. The primary person responsible for your personal safety is yourself. And so unless you are someone who is limited in their capacity to make decisions, you gotta watch yourself when you're out and about. You need to look both ways before you cross the street. Don't pick up strangers. I mean, all these rules are rules that hopefully people understand and know. I only saw this happen once. You see it in the movies, but when you see it in real life, it's something. And then back when traffic used to be on Pratt Street, and my man was walking down the street, and these guys got out the van, swooped him up, and he disappeared like like vapor.
Like he was never there.
Like he was never there. They had to be federal type people. They snatched his butt up off the street, gone.
Wow.
When you blink,
like that,
just
like that.
No answers.
No answers. No questions. People hardly noticed that it was going on. It was surreal.
Yeah.
By the time you realized what had happened, the van was gone.
Everything was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Maya,
yes.
I just want to chime in on what you were talking about earlier in terms of communication with the AI. And I think that for us, communication is something that we have to be concerned in every aspect of our lives as Black and brown people, because part of our issue is lack of access. You know what I'm saying? So when we don't have access to new information, new technology, we just get left behind. So it's incumbent upon us and others to share information as we get it and disseminate it
Right.
through mediums like this here. You know what I'm saying? Through social media, through TV, the spoken word, the radio, whatever means, we have to put that out because there are a lot of opportunities. But the other reason that we must be aware and involved is because of what I keep quoting. What's his name? Dr. Amos Wilson. When he talk about what is ADHD and what is the definition, what is the same thing with AI. If we're not involved in it, we won't have a say in how it's defined, how it's created, how it's rolled out. We won't have a say in any of it. So we must be involved in that whole process. Absolutely,
well, that means
yes.
us getting involved in being the scientific minds behind it, learning how to code
and defining it.
Well,
defining it.
However you define it, it won't change what it does. It just gives you the capacity to name it or define it or whatever.
It will change what it does, Stan, because with us involved, we will definitely have a more human touch. And profit won't be the ultimate goal. And you mentioned something on this program several months ago that I just want to insert into this conversation, Stan. And I found that very interesting, and I've often quoted you. You said that we build cities for cars, not for humans.
Currently, yes.
Right. So now, what I'm talking about AI is we must insert ourselves in there because AI must be to enhance human beings, not to replace them.
I think the problem is less one of AI and more one of sentience. The issue isn't artificial intelligence. I mean, it's been around for some time. It's become a buzzword that everybody drops and uses. Well,
your phone is artificial intelligence. Your
absolutely.
Computer is artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
Your tablets.
Absolutely. But the process is less one of concern, and the concern is self-awareness. If a machine or a tabulating, a computing device becomes self-aware, then it won't matter what you call it. It has the capacity to defend itself from what it perceives as threats.
A threat, yeah.
And so, it's not limited by air and things like that. So if it sees human beings as a threat, then you neutralize the threat. Mm-hmm. And it won't have some consciousness that says, well, I feel bad for doing this. No, it's very logical. It stays like. So I think we need to be concerned about the human beings who are on a tear to create sentience and self-awareness among these devices, because the machine already knows enough about you. It can determine where you're going to go. It recognizes you. It may be a good thing that AI doesn't recognize black folk.
AI will make an attempt. It will make an attempt to know where you're going, but that's the difference between humans and AI.
Humans don't know where folk are going.
Right, we don't know where we're going sometimes.
Right.
There's no way AI can determine that for us.
It can't determine, but it can make a pretty good. It can better guess where you're gonna be this afternoon than I can.
Yeah.
As long as you got that phone with you, it knows it can make for pretty good. It can make a calculated guess.
Yes.
That at 7 minutes after 9, sitting in that chair, it's gonna be our target. Because it knows your habits.
Yeah. Well, it knows I come here every Wednesday.
Right. So it knows it knows the speed at which you travel. It listens to the phone call. We having a show today. And what you're gonna do if you don't come here, what is the logical next step for you? All of this stuff is data in some database. And my thinking is less that AI is, but the people who want to make AI self-aware. And once it becomes self-aware, you can't take it offline. There's computers all over the world. databases all over the world.
So that drives us into a lane where we're thinking about the algorithms that have been constructed to gather all this data related to how it is that our comings and goings, right? So interestingly enough, when we take it back into the schoolhouse environment, how much math does it require for individuals to actually understand these algorithms, right? So if we think about math and the 4 processes that are fundamental to math, that's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are the 4 basics. If it is that at the end of 13 years of schooling, students can't do those basics, then the algorithms that we have at play, according to the artificial intelligence that is also at play in our world today, is going to really have us thinking about how big is this gap?
I think the gap is
this gap.
well, I think that gap is of the super smart people on the planet.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
exactly
of the
point.
super smart, they can't do algorithms. I mean, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but your basic math to me. Go on.
But my point is that after 13 years of schooling, our students should be able to do those foundational processes: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Period. Not to say that they need to know how to dive into the algorithms, but if it is that they're graduating without having a strong foundation or a decent foundation and how to do these things, then it speaks to what it is that they have in terms of opportunities and abilities to function in certain industries. Wow. That I think is my real point in terms of the process of schooling and actually making sure that students have the foundations, right? You don't have to be a genius, but you have to be exposed and know how to do certain things to get other things accomplished. And so now when we tie in AI that is collecting data at this very point 24/7, 365, nonstop, as long as it is that we have a power source through electricity, right? Think about it. If we no longer have electricity, then everything that we do that requires electricity stops.
Well, I think for the most part, I think we'll have electricity, but let's pick this up on the other side of the break. I do believe though that if we're graduating kids that can't read, write, do some basic math, that we need to change our conversations and our expectations and demands all the way around on a whole lot of stuff, because we talk about, not us, but I mean we are talking about on a big level within society about things that really don't matter. If at the end of 12 years kids can't read, write, or compete, I mean, what are our expectations that we're good year after year after year after year with kids not graduating, being able to do basic math? That's not the system's fault. That's our fault. We're not doing something. But we take our break. We'll be right back. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. It's Morning Talk.
How do you define evil? Is it the pedophile school administrator or taxation without representation? Is it the gatekeeping community leaders who sell out the very people they are fighting for? Or is evil the politician that puts out lies and takes in cash? However you may classify evil, having to choose the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. No wonder so many people don't vote. It's time for constituents to flip the script and leave the plantation of party politics and free your political mind.
Good afternoon. My name is Nwalki Tete. I'm a parent to a student in Hartford High. And I would say the program was very good. It taught us a lot about how to deal with our kids, how to handle situations. So I would say it's good for all parents to partake if you can. And our coach was very good. She taught us a lot about the Parents University. So I'm so happy and I'm glad I took part in the Parents University. So thank you so much. Love you. My name is Nwalki Tete. Bye.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and
Well,
you're
you're
watching
watching
AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Morning Talk.
Well, Stan, what an incredible conversation we've had today, man, with Dr. Maya. I'm so happy. I kind of miss her when she doesn't come in. She kind of brings in a special flair and always an interesting point on education. But right now, I just want to change the gears a little bit, man. And I want to ask our viewers and our listeners, I want to make a comment. And I want some feedback, but I want to qualify it by saying, you know, if they break my door down, some people were offended or they were in their feelings, right? But, you know, how do we as a community land a blow to white supremacy and racism in Hartford politics? And I think that one of the ways that we do that is we get rid of Mark DeBella as the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee and all of his supporters. I'm putting that out there to the viewers and the listeners as a challenge. We are right in the middle of the political season. They're going to start flooding your house with mails and calls, or they're going to leaflets in your door, all kinds of stuff. People are going to be knocking on your door. Y'all need to ask them real questions. Ask them, how do they feel, okay, about reparations? Ask them, how do they feel about the situation and the state of Hartford politics? And put them on the hot seat when they come to your house, when they call you. Let them know that you want accountability. So I would like to see some comments or some calls from our listeners and our viewers about how do we land a blow to white supremacy and racism in Hartford politics. Take it away, y'all.
Well, that would be interesting because there is I've always said that Harvard's political system is likened unto a plantation. I call it plantation governance model.
Yes.
Hartford has a plantation governance model.
I agree.
It doesn't grow cotton; it grows people, and so people are the new cotton, and it is that cotton that is harvested, and it's put through the cotton mill, on a regular basis. And it turns out the product that it turns out is votes.
Well, it's actually better than cotton, because now not only do you have the human as cotton, but this kind of cotton is also resourceful and can provide other resources for you.
Absolutely.
So that's an incredible
because you have to take
example.
care. You have to manage the cotton.
Yes.
So you manage the people. It means that if you keep them on meager means, that means that they become dependent upon you.
So the same way that you put that thought together, Stan, I want you to put the idea together that our children are also being used as cotton in the education system.
Absolutely.
When your thinking is done for you, then you're not thinking. That's not that hard to figure out, and that's what happens. So our children are being used by the big corporations as a farm system for jobs, because they go to jobs where they don't think.
Right.
They go to jobs where they have to follow instructions.
And when we no longer need you to work, then we make you a super, super, super duper, agent of productivity, because now we keep you home. We give you a stipend to
That's
live
the beginning
at
of
home.
AI. That's how they sliding AI in. These people don't understand that when you start working from home, you're going to stay home. You're not going to be working.
Right.
Some machine is going to be doing your job.
Right, but
and
when I say working from home, I don't mean people who work virtually. I mean the people who are dependent on the system.
Yes.
Because they no longer have a job. So they're on some sort of government assistance. One thing about reparation, unless they're giving you the money free and clear, here's your money, you use that money anywhere in the world and leave. If it's going to be doled out to you slowly.
And taxed.
And if it's going to be doled out to you slowly, then yeah, they'll have you fight for the very thing that's going to enslave you even further. So now you are bound to the system with super dependence. You're not competitive, and you can be depended upon to come out and vote over and over again for the very people who are enslaving you, because you need them to sustain you with a quote unquote program. So the fortunes that are made off of managing y'all.
So here's what happens, Stan. I know what you're saying, but listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pandemic was created to introduce AI.
I think the pandemic was created in order to introduce submission and control.
Well, AI is going to bring all of that, because it's going to eliminate the need for human thought, for human process. Think about this. When you get sent home from an insurance company to work, they don't have to pay light and taxes for that building anymore. They can give it away, or they can sell it. They can repurpose it. They can lease it, right? They don't have all of that.
Right. But
utilities, whatever. They save millions because they have thousands of buildings all over the country.
Yeah, that was coming. That was
right.
coming.
But now, check this out, brother. Now, they're figuring out the same thing. Now you don't have to go. A lot of times when you feel sick, you don't go to your doctor. You can have a Zoom meeting with your doctor.
Right, but
that's AI, brother.
Right, but AI is not the enemy, and neither is forward progress.
AI could be the enemy.
We have enemies.
If it means the eradication of the human race.
We have enemies we have clear and present dangers, such as the ones you just got finished pointing out. If the party system is enslaving people, AI is going to be a newcomer to the game. So I mean, if people are subservient to a handful of folks in power that have yet to demonstrate liberation, freedom, and empowerment of the people, that's the more immediate present danger, which is what you were talking about in the beginning. How do you wrestle away those powers from the political process? It becomes exceedingly difficult. Even if they admit what they're doing, it doesn't guarantee that the people are going to rise to the challenge and take back their community? How do we get people who are dependent on that system, dependent on the money, dependent upon the programs? Because in Hartford, folk will run to the nearest $100 bill running through the community. It used to be $1 in the trailer park, but now it's $100 running through the community.
Better make sure it's not
That's
counterfeit,
crazy,
though.
man.
You know.
That's crazy.
Gotta make sure
man.
that's not counterfeit.
So
because
so
if it
so
is
the
that,
Doesn't even
to me,
if it is that with the use of technology, we're able to create counterfeits that look like the real thing.
Or electronic money.
And individuals who are driven towards the money are more prone to go in that direction. There's a quote that Jay-Z states that many folks know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And so again, coming back to putting the value on human-centeredness should become the priority.
Absolutely, Dr. Maya. And with AI, respectfully speaking, I believe in AI. I think it has a lot of good things about it. But without us really not just looking at the short and middle and long term, but looking at it through the human experience, AI could be very dangerous to us.
Absolutely.
But,
The tools of oppression change as technology changes. So the idea here is to not be oppressed, to come out from under the yoke of oppression, free your political mind, free your spiritual mind, free your mind, and take control of your life.
Hey, Stan, I know we're going to end soon. I just want to give a shout out to brother Rick Torres, who's been phenomenal, keeping us informed.
Oh, yes.
With a lot of the processes that have gone on in the Hartford Police Department. I want to keep brother Chris Duke's name alive, and we want to keep, all the people involved in his case. We're looking forward to them being accountable, and to all the wonderful people in Hartford that are doing your best. I shout you out today publicly. Keep doing your best. Your love for your city and our community is going to be victorious. Peace, family.
Oh, I'm going to follow up with that. I heard the V word. Let us continue to walk in victory, because victory is assured by faith and putting forth the actions necessary to get it done.
I like that.
Peace, family.
I second that, Dr. Mike.
I like that. Yeah, you got to get it done. Get it done. All right. You know what I did when I went to school? I went to school for aviation maintenance, Upper Bucks County School of Aviation Maintenance Technology, which was a part of the Upper Bucks County Technical School. I went to tech school, and we went on strike 2 weeks. Not a single student bought lunch.
Wow.
They fired the entire lunch staff and let the culinary arts students make lunch. And people started coming there to buy food from the community. It was so good.
Yeah.
Stop eating the food they fix you, and they'll change it in a heartbeat. That's the power you kids have.
I heard that.
Have
man.
a school lunch boycott. Get on TikTok, Instagram, and prove to the adults of this city that you're the customer and you're not happy with the product. They'll change it. Trust me.
And parents, you can also
There
keep
you
your
go.
kids home.
There
If
you
one of you get together, you can have a little walkout or something like that.
Boycott the lunch. Boycott the lunch. There we go. Give us better food.
is J. Stan McCauley, and I do business as Light Source Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you plan you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be, but let's say a big event, but no video. And you spend all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.